Hello guys, this is Dama.82. I just wanted to show off some of the vehicles that we're going to be starting the next campaign with. We will be fighting the Onyx watch, and just at the start of this, I'm doing this campaign just to try to get a feel for what Quest for Leader is going to be like. I was a bit disappointed with the way Ashes of the Empire went because there was a severe lack of battles, and that was really really sad for me. I can't think of a better way to describe it. So yeah, I'm just wanting to do the Onyx Watch campaign just so I can kind of get a look to see what the whole main campaign can be like. Though I do want to say that there has been some indication that the main campaign is kind of suffering from some of the same issues as far as lack of aggressiveness on behalf of the enemy. But I kind of want to kind of see this for myself and hopefully discuss it with you guys later once the campaign's been concluded. Anyway, also just another quick announcement here. I am probably going to start doing the tutorial series on building turrets here fairly soon. I'm hoping to get like maybe an episode of that recorded sometime this week. So yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to announce here real quick, and also I want to apologize for the lack of content here lately because I got my second shot for the COVID vaccine, and it's been steadily kicking my ass. Anyway, so let's just go ahead and start off with talking about these ships I got here for you guys. And first off, we'll start off with this guy. I'm sure he's fairly familiar to you all. This is the latest version of the Richthofen fighter bomber. I managed to get a lot more speed out of it, so it's almost twice as fast as it used to be. I had to do a bunch of expansion to the engine to try to get all that speed out of it. But it's still a very, very capable aircraft. Been very, very happy with it. Still has the missiles mounted in the wings. Just EMP frag. I did a little bit more decorative work on it as well when I was going through and upgrading it. Overall, I think the upgrading was pretty successful, so yay that. And he is basically going to be leading a squadron of these guys, probably about 2-3 more planes. Beyond that, and they kind of collide together after that, so yeah. Anyway, if you guys have been watching my series of Ashes of the Empire, you should already be familiar with this. But if you are not, this little darling is the Death Harmonic Fighter Bomber. Very, very cheap plane. Does pretty well in the air-to-ground attack role, or air-to-surface, I guess in this case. Very, very small, very light aircraft. It doesn't really go all that fast, but it doesn't really need to, especially since we're going to be going up against the Onyx Watch. I do have some potential plans in the future, like maybe add a airship to this campaign, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If they start bringing out Eries, I just may very well bring in an airship that I kind of have in the works right now. So let's shrink down the block so you guys can have a look inside this thing. Couldn't quite get as much engine room as I could with the other aircraft, so that's one of the reasons why it's a little slower. But it's been very fun to watch, so I think you guys will enjoy seeing it once again in this setting. And this one's kind of new here. This is kind of modeled after the Gotha bomber from the Germans in World War I. And I call it the All-Air Long Medium Bomber. All Nightmare Long is a Metallica song, I believe from their Death Magnetic album. And I put lots of detail work in this thing. You're probably wondering why heavy armor on the bottom. That was mostly just to lower the center of mass so that the I could do some extra work here with the custom jet engines that power this thing. They're inside these little pylons here. But it goes very, very fast. It hits like 111 meters per second. And this probably has to be one of the weirdest engines I've ever made. But it does the job. And this thing does get a very good top speed. Got a flare launcher here in the back, which really, in all honesty, all it is just a short-range thruster. So that way I wouldn't have to worry about using ejectors here. These bombs that I use are pretty potent. Been really happy with them so far. I threw a magnet on the end just in case if they missed and they would still be dragged into something and explode. And this thing over here, it's just the explosive version. Other than that, they're fairly identical. But had a lot of fun building this. And I think it'll do pretty well in the campaign. Just the doing the landing gear alone on this thing took me forever. But yeah, pretty capable little bomber there. And over here we have a torpedo boat that I made. And if you haven't listened to heavy metal probably in the last 30 years, then you're probably not going to know where this name comes from. The Sandman torpedo boat. Sandman is probably the most popular Metallica song ever, and it's actually one of my favorites, to be honest. It's a very, very fast torpedo boat. A lot of torpedoes are going to have a hard time trying to catch this thing. So yeah, just to be like a long-range harasser / damage dealer. The casemate guns, I think I just got them set up with like a pure hash round. Nothing too fancy. But it does need a lot of PID stabilization because getting that top speed, it can be kind of rough because this thing likes to flip over. So yeah, I had to do a lot of PID work for this thing to function correctly. Anyway, next up we have the Hellenbach Mark II. Hellenbach was the name of my destroyer in the From the Depths 2.4.9 campaign, and it was a very, very capable ship, but it didn't quite make it through to the end of the series, unfortunately. The guns for this were kind of a co-authored project between me and Iron Mark III. Been very, very happy with them. They are rail-assisted, timed, flak, and HE. Now let me just pull up the UI so you can get a look at the stats on the gun itself. 180 millimeter, has a fairly decent reload rate. It does pretty good about destroying lighter craft, and it launches large torpedoes from the bottom to help it deal with the heavier stuff. Very, very simple large HE torpedoes. Basically the bare minimum that I would need to make a large torpedo. We do have some light anti-air, but probably not going to need it for this campaign, so they're just pretty much here to make it look nice. And the ship also features the infamous jackhammer turret by Iron Mark III. Very capable sea whiz. Very, very powerful. I've seen this thing snipe many a cram can shell out of the air. Sorry about the burp there, kind of snuck out. But yeah, Ian has put a lot of work into developing these turrets, and it really shows when you see these things in action. But yeah, put a lot of detail work into this, like with the stairways and all. Let's give you guys a quick look at the inner bits here. So she is steam driven. Gets a very good top speed of 33 meters a second. This is a steam engine that I have actually built myself. We have some battery backup down here as well. Have like a small fuel engine here. This is mostly just to charge up the railguns. So yeah, that's our destroyer for this campaign. I may use it later on in another FTD campaign. We'll just have to see where things go after this. So anyway, some of you guys might have seen this one already on the workshop. This is the Rourke's Rift, excuse me, Rourke's Drift light cruiser. This one I have really enjoyed putting together. This is the first ship that I have done with the Trumbull style, and I gotta say it's really been growing on me. I don't know why, just for some reason the hulls with this style just have a kind of class of all their own. Just very pretty hulls. It is PID stabilized. It does launch torpedoes from the bottom. Just your pretty much standard torpedoes like I usually use, except we're doing frags this time around. Mostly because fragmentation torpedoes seem like they're doing a whole hell of a lot more damage than the standard explosive. We do have some torpedo interceptors down here that launch out from the bottom. And that'll just be to intercept enemy torpedoes. Price tag on it ain't too bad. It's probably a little slower than I would like, but I can work with it. But two of these combined can take on a bulwark pretty comfortably without too much issue. The main guns are 400mm by 4m Hesh. Some very nasty guns. Been very happy with them. This one has a few unique things to it. For instance, these AA guns here in the back, they are all designed to work with the COPPA controllers. This is just to give it like a little bit of anti-missile capability, because I wasn't able to put a COPPA in on this though. Looking at this a bit, I might try to see if I can't squeeze one in right about here where this anti-aircraft gun is, if it doesn't mess with the aesthetic too much. But I've been very happy with it. I think it's one of the prettier ships here. I really liked how the rear of this ship turned out as well. It's got a bunch of casemate guns here. Standard Hesh. I believe these, I can't quite remember what these are set up for. It looks like at some point they may have became disconnected from their ammo controller, but that's no big deal. Yeah, that looks to be the right shell. Anyway, I'll go back and fix this later, no big deal. So moving on here, we have a medium cruiser. This is probably one of the most recent designs that I have done here. I actually got the idea from one of the guys from the World War Neater Discord, Samson. He's kind of the head guy over there, and he did what he called a battle frigate. And this is kind of my take on it, except to me it felt more like a medium cruiser. A lot of people are seeing light cruiser, but this thing is just better armed and armored than this here. So I just decided to like squeeze it in between the middle of the light and the heavy. And it's a very, very capable craft. It can solo bulwarks without too much issue. And it's just a little bit cheaper than, I think I must buy like 100k cheaper. Oh. Gotta fix the paint on that. No big deal. Anyway, moving on. It is armed with 16 200mm guns that fire 2-meter shells. The lower ones here, they fire a pure, what is it? Hesh round? Yeah, these are the Hesh guns, the ones on the bottom. The upper mains, those fire a kinetic hollow point round. It does very, very good work busting through armor. It does have some laser munition systems. The same ones that I've pretty much been using for well over a year now. But it's got 4 independent LAM systems. 1 at the rear, 2 in the superstructure, and 1 in the back here. I've been really happy with it so far. The Tetris on the main guns, that was interesting to say the least, but it worked out for the best. The 150mm casemates, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head what those use. Let's see here. Okay, squash head. I should have known. Okay. These engines here are not originally mine. They were developed by Heitzmeister. And this thing honestly has way more power than it needs. I do it this way for a reason, and that is that I want to have room to, or at least a room in the power budget anyway, to add shields later on if should I choose to do so, and that's pretty much the only purpose behind that. This does not launch torpedoes, though it does have a fairly decent amount of torpedo interceptors. It is steam driven. And gets about 29 meters a second. I would try to put a steam engine into the Rogue's Drift over there, but it just, I don't think I'm going to be able to get it to fit in there very good without having to remove a bunch of shit, so yeah. So we also have these, I think they're 3.7-inch guns. All of them are set up to use a, it's an inertial HE round? Yeah. Not quite sure why that's on there, but anywho. Yeah, I've been very happy with the ship. I think I might have gotten a little too crazy with the superstructure. I was just kind of experimenting with some new shapes and things that I wanted to try. It almost seems like a mini dreadnought, the way I've done this, but yeah. In any case, I'm happy with it. It's fast, it's durable. It has some of the thicker armor of some of the craft here. We got 1 layer of metal, 2 layers of metal, 1 layer of alloy, another layer of metal, and then we got heavy and a wood spall liner. The heavy is only here for protecting the turrets, or the main turrets themselves, not necessarily for protecting the entire ship, because I ended up doing kind of a spall liner here with heavy armor, but I only used the slopes, so it would have a bit of an air gap here through the middle. So yeah, this thing should be very hash resistant, if not completely immune to it. But had a lot of fun building this. And yes, I will be releasing all these on the Steam Workshop at some point. The light cruiser and the heavy cruiser have actually already been released. But let's get on to the final ship here. This one took me ages to do, but it turned out so well, I think, and I've been really happy with it. This is the Dama heavy cruiser. She's pretty expensive, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure if she is going to make it into this campaign because of her cost. I did a bit of a test run, and the AI seems like it's fairly easily overwhelmed in the beginning parts, but again, this is just to kind of see what the campaign mechanics are like in current version, not necessarily to just it's just from I just want to see how it works pretty much, and I'm not going to go too far into the strategy of it. Alright, yeah. I will be doing this on the hard difficulty, and I think it should hopefully be a little entertaining for you guys to watch. But anyway, back to the ship. It has 12 of these 400mm 4-meter guns, firing a pure squash head round. Very dangerous. And yeah, these guns have been extremely effective against a lot of Onyx designs. I even use these to be the secondaries for the Corollas Rex Mark III battleship, which may or may not make an appearance in this series. I don't know yet. But I just wanted to see what I could do with the casemates by lining up the whole sides of it with these 130mm and the twin 150mm higher up in the superstructure. This thing can lay down a pretty devastating broadside. So let's just have a quick look at these, see what kind of shell we got in here. Looks like I went with a squash head. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it looks like on these I went with the inertial frag, it looks like. Yeah. It's a very fast ship too, 32 meters a second. It's kind of using a hybrid design here. Of course, the main power is provided by these propellers that are part of the steam drive in this thing. Let me just remove the structural blocks so you guys can have a better look. Had a lot of fun building this. The decorative work out here, that just took me forever to do. But I think it was worth it. Again, the anti-aircraft guns are set up to target both missiles and aircraft over here. And so are these twin Bofors up here. I don't expect them to do a whole lot, but any extra damage I can get out on a missile before it causes any severe damage, I think it's probably worth it. And the LAM system is once again the same one that I've always been using. I just figure why bother reinventing the wheel if I already have something that works pretty well. But we also have some engines in here. These I developed myself. They are actually on the Guild of Calamitous Intent engine platform. Been very happy with it. One issue that I kept having though when I was building this thing is I just kept needing more and more and more and more room for the ammunition storage. And some of you guys are going to probably be like freaking out because I'm putting ammo right next to the AI. Relax, there is heavy armor surrounding this. The LAM system is very, very effective, and it does very, very well at taking out cramshells. And we also have a very cleverly hidden COPPA turret. One of the jackhammers by IM Mark III. I redid the top of the turret a bit just to try to make it fit in with the overall aesthetic a little bit better. I think I hit it pretty well. But you probably would have never known that it was a COPPA unless I had told you so. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what all I'm going to be able to spawn into the campaign before I finish it. I think you guys will really enjoy this. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Hope you guys will enjoy this new series. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. This has been Dama.82. I would like to say have yourself a hell of a day and keep your hammer high. Later.